slow, but now it seems as if we are seeing the Alabama team that Nick Saban envisioned this team to be. Now, Milroe can get better, but it seems like he has a much better grip on what's going on from an offensive standpoint. Does Kentucky have an opportunity or a chance to win this game?
I don't think so. I think it's a tough spot. I mean, Alabama's playing with a ton of confidence. Very impressive last week with what Milroe did, and they're a team that if Kentucky can't fall behind 14-0, because I think that just plays into what Alabama wants to do offensively. And the thing about Kentucky is that they've been disappointing on offense this year for the most part. We all talked about Liam Cohn coming back in and Devin Leary. Devin Leary was in the top 2 or 3 of the most wanted transfers. And I know he's had his moments, but I think Kentucky fans and Kentucky probably thought they were going to get more out of that quarterback position this year. So I think Alabama's in a really good spot. You could argue some teams after, big wins like they've had, beating Tennessee, A&M, and then an emotional win over LSU, that this in theory would be a spot for a letdown. But, guys, in the last 10 years, how many times have we seen Alabama let down? Like, off the top of my head, I can't think of any.
They got a pretty good track record along that.
Exactly.
Another obvious big matchup, Mitch, is Tennessee's trip to Missouri, which before the season, you probably would have said, okay, Tennessee should get this game. And now it's a toss-up, without question. They're a slight favorite, but Missouri's had a solid year. What do you think of the matchup in particular?
Yeah, well, whenever I think Tennessee and Missouri, do you guys remember the game a couple years ago in Josh Heupel's first season? To me, that's when I realized Tennessee might have something here. They were up, I'm looking right now, 62-24 final. I think it was like 28-0 in the first quarter. Big play after big play. And that's just because I think the week before they lost to Florida, and it's like, wow, this is something. And, the offense has been great ever since. And, I was just looking at some stats, and this is nothing new, but Tennessee leading the SEC in rushing, leading the SEC in rushing defense and yards per play. It's just such a different type of team that we thought we'd see. But you're right, Missouri's been very good this year. They've got a good offensive balance. It's not just a passing attack with Cook and Luther Burden and those really good wide receivers. So they're very balanced on offense. I was a little surprised that Tennessee was favored. Was it 2? I know earlier in the week it might have been 2 or 3. I don't know what it is now.
I think it's 2.5 is what I got here on ESPN.
Yeah, I kind of like Missouri at home. Tennessee, I wouldn't say they played poorly on the road. They didn't play well against Florida, but they played relatively well against Alabama. We know what happened in that game. But I think Missouri. I don't remember a team gaining as much national, respect's the right word, in a loss that we've seen from Missouri last week. Like, everyone came away from that game like, okay, Georgia's, really good like we thought, but wow, Missouri, they're for real as well. So I don't see a letdown from Missouri or anything like that. I expect this to be a really good game, and I see why the spread's kind of what it is, but I'll go with Missouri at home.
Yeah, I think it could go a lot of different ways, but Missouri has sort of won me over the last few weeks. And even their loss against LSU, that was one where they had big opportunities maybe to win that game. There are a couple of really bad plays at the wrong time hurt them. So I feel like they're going to have the confidence. And I think we all still have some questions about Tennessee away from Neyland Stadium as opposed to in Neyland Stadium. And, of course, they've got Georgia on the horizon here. So this is Tennessee should not be guilty of looking ahead here, right? That Missouri should have their attention based on what Missouri's done.
No doubt about it. Like I said last week, I mean, they played Georgia, and I wouldn't say toe-to-toe. I mean, Georgia was the better team. Did you ever think Georgia was going to lose? No. But I thought Missouri showed a lot of resolve, falling by down 2 scores and then making it a game late. I was really impressed with Missouri. I couldn't agree with you more. They've got to be kicking themselves over that LSU game. Not saying they should have won. They very well could have won that game. But then you look back at the Kansas State game, and they kick a 5-yard field goal to win it there, too. That game was going close to overtime. They could have lost that one, too. So, definitely Missouri. It's their offensive balance, to me, that's really stood out.
Now, Mitch, we got, 3-4 weeks left in the college season, just the regular season here. Of the 4 or 5 teams, Ohio State, Georgia, Michigan, Florida State, Washington, which team do you believe will not be in the college football playoffs? Or 2 teams?
Yeah, well, I don't think we'll see Ohio State and Michigan. So I'll wait to see how Michigan plays tomorrow against Penn State. Right now, I think I would pick Michigan. But one thing, Ohio State's defense has been outstanding this year. So we talk about their offense, but it's their best defense they've had probably in 5, 6, 7 years. I think the obvious answer, though, Derek, and they probably feel like they're being picked on is Washington. I mean, everyone thinks that Oregon's a better team. Washington's like, hey, we beat them. Yeah, we know you beat them, and it was at home. But I guarantee if those teams are both undefeated and they play in Las Vegas in the Pac-12 championship game, that Oregon's favored in that game. So Oregon would be my pick coming out of the Pac-12. So I think Washington, and then I would say Ohio State, because right now I would pick Michigan to beat Ohio State, would be the teams in that group right there that would not make it.
Now, can Alabama potentially find themselves? It always goes back to Alabama, and can Nick Saban find a way to get himself into the college football playoffs? Or Texas, for that matter, because Texas did beat Alabama. But can you see where an Alabama or a Texas get in, which would put possibly 2 SEC teams in the playoffs?
Well, I think it's pretty simple for Alabama. They got to win the SEC championship. I mean, obviously they got to win the West. They're not going to get in with two losses this year. I don't see a path for a 2-loss team this year. So if they're 11-1. And they beat Georgia, they're going to make it as the SEC champ who just beat Georgia. And if they got 2 losses, they're not going to make it. Texas is a little more not as cut and dry there. I mean, they're the favorite in the Big 12 right now. They're 8-1, and basically they're probably going to play Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State controls its own destiny. I think it has UCF in Houston and maybe one other team. I mean, Oklahoma State's in great shape there. So Texas will be favored in every game it plays. So I think Texas is lurking to grab one of those spots because Ohio State and Michigan, like we said, then you get into the 1-loss Big Ten team that didn't win its division make it over a Texas team that won the Big 12. I don't think they would, but we're getting to the point now where we have all these scenarios that we got to play out in our head. And every week there's more results and there's less scenarios, but it's definitely a fun time of the year to talk about them.
Now, is this the year? And speaking of Ohio State, because you brought up their defense, and I was having a discussion with someone last week about how Ohio State, I believe this is their year possibly to beat Michigan, because the last 2 seasons, it wasn't that they were devoid of talent, because they had a bunch of talent. I just thought Michigan was the most physical team out there from a defensive standpoint, and until Ohio State addressed that, Michigan was going to continue to beat them. But it seems the way that Ohio State is playing now is reminiscent to when they won the national championship. They did have a loaded team, but that defense was nasty. And their defense, as you brought up, they're nasty again this year. So I see that as a way of, they got offensive players, but in this league, in the Big Ten, going against Michigan, you got to have a physical team, not just a bunch of really, really good skilled players.
Yeah, and they're built. Their defensive line's been very, very good this year. If there's a weakness on their defense, it's probably their secondary. They're third nationally in yards per play allowed at 4.10. And if you think about, especially last year's game, it wasn't that Michigan drove the ball up and down the field consistently. It was the big plays that really hurt Ohio State in that game last year. Just visions of the running backs, Edwards and Corn, just running free. Now, Michigan's built a little bit differently offensively this year. There's more balance in that offense. They're throwing the ball a lot more, not as much from the running backs. I'm just interested, kind of slight tangent here, like for tomorrow, I'm just really interested in watching J.J. McCarthy play a really good defense like Penn State, and then watching him play Ohio State, because he's been kind of lurking in the Heisman race. He's got great numbers, so efficient, having a great year, but it's hard to take him seriously until we see him against a really good defense, and we're going to see that tomorrow. So, I think if this is an obvious statement, but if Michigan plays well tomorrow and can score points against that Penn State defense, that bodes very well for them against Ohio State, because those defenses are very similar.
Mitch Light with us. Mitch, I see Vanderbilt at South Carolina tomorrow, and I'm asking myself, there's 2 games left for Vanderbilt. Almost all of the conference games have gone the same way, almost regardless whether they play Georgia or Ole Miss or anybody in between. They're unable to sort of hang around as much. Ironically, maybe they hung around better against Georgia than anybody else, but they get behind. They have a couple decent sections of the game where they look okay, but they're not really able to get into the fourth quarter with a real chance. I look at the line; it's about the same as it is every week. It seems like they're 2-touchdown underdogs. Did they have a shot here?
Yeah, I'm looking at the Vanderbilt's season, and I pretty much every game except Ole Miss, every conference game, even the Wake Forest game, like you said, fall behind multiple scores, get something going, either cut it. Even the Kentucky game when they were down 21-0, like they were down in the third quarter, had a chance to cut to a one-score game. It's the same scenario every week where it's like, oh, there's a slight chance, but then they can't get that play done, can't get it done. And you know what's alarming about this season, and this is not really what you asked, Willie, but is the lack of competitiveness, I would say, in the final scores. Like I was thinking, and unfortunately, you'll remember this. One of the worst Vanderbilt teams probably was our freshman year in college, and show our age was 1989. And I look back, and I was kind of not alarmed, just how many close games there were that year. That Vanderbilt lost, 7 to Ole Miss. Kentucky was close. And I was like, so when you compare other seasons where you think were really poor Vanderbilt teams to this season, at least statistically from a scoring margin, this one does not hold up favorably. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
So specifically to tomorrow, I mean, South Carolina has not been very good this year. They've been a disappointment, but they've been explosive on offense at times. Spencer Rattler has, put up, big numbers. We saw what he did in the first half against Georgia. The Florida game when they lost, he had a really good game there. So it's going to be the same story. They've got to get off to a good start. I mean, how many times do you watch Vanderbilt this year? The other team's first possession, it's just like 7 yards, 15 yards, 7 yards, and it's 7-0 right off the bat. And that just puts so much pressure on the offense there. So, master of the obvious here is not falling behind 14-0 would be a good plan. But yeah, I mean, I would say of all the games, I'm not just saying this because it's one of the final 2 games. So if you looked at the schedule a month ago, this was the one game you probably thought maybe that and Auburn at home that they have the best shot of being competitive.
Right, and they're going to be a big underdog against Tennessee. It's a big rivalry game, but the other part of the equation, I wonder too, just the feeling of having a shot to win. Winning a game would be enormous for just a late season lift that they need big time, but also the outlook at for the future. Let's take the quarterback position. You got Walter Taylor. Ken Seals has sort of stabilized them a little bit, but the whole A.J. Swan situation, what's the future of the quarterback position? That's a major question for them, right?
Totally. And that's one thing when I look at teams, not just Vanderbilt, and you study teams coming off of maybe disappointing seasons, like, do they have the quarterback position figured out? And that's why there was the whatever hope there was this year with Vanderbilt. Okay, they won 2 of their final 3 SEC games, and you thought they had the quarterback situation figured out. Well, they clearly don't. It's regressed. A.J. Swan, I know he's been hurt, but when he was healthy earlier in the year, the mistakes were just killing this offense. I wouldn't be surprised if the starting quarterback at Vanderbilt next year is not on the roster right now. I don't know if they have supreme confidence in any of the guys right now on the roster. So not saying this is a tryout for anyone the next 2 weeks, but, I know they really like Walter Taylor's talent, but he's so raw, and can you afford to put him in these games against SEC opponents? And I know there's learning on the job, but is it fair to the rest of the team to do that? So it's a tough situation when you're struggling and you're so unsettled at the quarterback position, which is where they are right now.
I'm sitting from afar not knowing, but the with Swan not in there, I do wonder in this day and age where, it's easy to look elsewhere, the fact that he hasn't gotten Bick in there, it would seem like behind the scenes it's not going well for him. And maybe some Vanderbilt fans are saying, well, he wasn't playing that great anyway. He was making a lot of mistakes, but we know how the game works these days in all the sports, right? If it's not going well, it's easy for a player to say, well, let me try somewhere else. The grass could be greener.
No doubt about it. And, he's a talented kid. I'm not, if he stays at Vanderbilt and has a good offseason, I'm not saying he couldn't be a productive player down in the next 2 years. Will he be at Vanderbilt next year? I don't know. I guess my point was he's very talented. But if you're another team looking for a sure thing at quarterback, if you're another like an ACC team or, a Power 5 team, I'm not saying you don't take an A.J. Swan, but there's really nothing on his resume that suggests he's a quick fix.
Right. And that's the trick. The grass isn't always greener on the other side.
Right. Like Devin Leary was had a just really productive career at NC State. and was one of the most sought-after quarterbacks in the portal, and he hasn't really elevated Kentucky's offense. So it just tells you, sure, there are great quarterbacks in the transfer portal. We know that. Bo Nix and Michael Penix Jr. and Caleb Williams transferred, but it's not a sure thing that you're going to find your answer in the transfer portal. So I'll say that for Vanderbilt, too. Vanderbilt pursues a transfer, too. So it's everyone loves talking about transfers, and fans like, oh, we'll just go to the portal. Well, sometimes it's be careful what you wish for.
Mm-hmm. Mitch, thanks a lot. Appreciate the time, and we'll talk to you again next week, hopefully with Caroline, so we can catch up on her mental health.
Yes, I look forward to that. Take care, guys.
All right. We'll talk to you later. That's Mitch Light from The Athletic, college football editor. A lot going on. We still await the fate of Michigan. Are we going to hear anything today before they take the field against Penn State tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock? Stay tuned. We've got a lot more coming. We'll get back into the Titans matchups. We'll talk about the injury report that's come out, and we'll take it to the bank a little bit later in the hour. Don't forget, make your silly underdog picks for your chance to win weekly prizes. You can play at thegamenashville.com or the 102.5 The Game app as we approach week number 11 of college football and week 10 of the NFL. Silly underdog picks presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket.
When you want all the
going in and the score, blast the score. He risks one, they score.
And don't forget the
oh, what a stop! Sliding across to make the save. Backhander, nice stop.
When all you want is Smashville, we have you covered. Hear every Predators game right here. We are your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
What's up, Nashville? Over the last few months, you've heard me talk about Zen Sports, which is the new sports betting app exclusively in Tennessee. And I'm excited to share with you some big news. Now, when you sign up for Zen Sports account, you will receive up to $1,000 no danger first. That's right. When you place your first bet with Zen Sports, you can be reimbursed for the amount of your bet, up to $1,000 maximum, if the bet loses. And there's even more good news, people. Zen Sports is rolling out its brand new VIP, you get it right, reward program. The new VIP reward program will allow top-tier customers to earn more bonuses, comps, and perks. And who doesn't like those three things combined? The VIP program is by invite only. So, if you feel your Zen Sports play qualifies for the VIP consideration, please check our program details and apply at zensports.com/VIP. No other sportsbook will offer you a premier sports betting experience with 24/7 top-tier customer support and faster withdrawals like Zen Sports. So, what are you waiting for? Get going and download the app at zensports.com today. Zen Sports, betting just got better. Gambling problems, call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 years or older to bet here in Tennessee.
Genesis Diamond's biggest and last sale of the year is coming. November 17th through 19th. It's an extraordinary event with savings of 20, 30, up to 35% store-wide. Rings, earrings, pendants, bands, bracelets. Nothing's held back for this once-a-year, 3-day store-wide sale. Acclaimed designers will be flying in with expanded collections and special pricing. Plus, get 0% interest financing. Luxury pre-owned Rolexes are also included. Lab-grown diamonds, too. Discounts up to 35%. Genesis Diamond. November 17th through 19th only. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Come try Calabria Brick Oven Pizzeria. Their pizza is cooked to perfection, but that's not all they're known for. Try one of their delicious appetizers, salads, fresh calzones, and they have a full bar and dessert. Calabria has been a Mount Juliet staple for 7 years now and has a new location in the heart of Goodlettsville off Long Hollow Pike. Come join the family at Calabria. After all, life's too short to eat bad pizza.
Yo, check this out.
Ah, Porvu. Imagine a wonderland, vast as the eye can see. We're talking a whopping 10,000 square feet, stocked with wine, spirits, and over 1,500 beers from around the globe. And if that's not enough, they've got you covered with a massive horde of ready-to-guzzle cocktails like High Noon.
Well, saddle up, partner. It's Porvu, the adult equivalent of a candy store. Open from 9 to 9 Monday through Saturday and from 10 to 6 on Sundays, too. Not leaving your sofa during the next big game? No worries, my jersey-wearing couch potato. You can place your orders at porvu.us or download their super snazzy app.
Just picture hockey night. He shoots, he scores, we toast.
We're talking about a good old round of tequila shots, of course.
Tequila!
Porvu has it all. Tequila is always a big hit, just like Uncle Frank at the family parties.
Wine, spirits, beers, mixers, barware, gifts, party supplies, and more.
Curbside pickup at absolutely zero charge, mind you, and home delivery.
Indian Lake Boulevard in Hendersonville, just off Vietnam Vets, exit 7.
Porvu. It's all Frenchy and fancy, meaning for you.
Score!
Your company's hiring. Who isn't? We would love to show you how to use 1025 The Game to attract and retain employees. We can also help you find the exact person you're looking for with a targeted digital campaign. You can trust our team to help you build your team. Email us at together@cromwellmedia.com.
Whether you drink it neat, in a cocktail, or like our boys at Bridgestone, on ice, Blue Note Bourbon hits all the right notes. From the ever-popular Blue Note Juke Joint to our fabled Blue Note Crossroads. It doesn't matter if you're watching the Preds at a bar or just hanging at home. Our double gold medal winning, hand-bottled, straight bourbon whiskey always sounds like a good time is about to be had. Blue Note Bourbon. Take note. Sip responsibly.
God, I'm so stressed about my business not being ready for the holidays.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending the Ooma cloud phone system with auto attendant and more than 35 features.
Ooma?
Yep. Switching to Ooma is a cinch. Starts at $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Visit Ooma.com. That's OOMA.com to learn more. Ooma. Smart communications for the smarter business.
Vanderbilt football lives here.
This Saturday, it's Vanderbilt and South Carolina from Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia. Kickoff at 11 a.m. Our coverage starts at 9:30.
Your home for the Commodores is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Rick Stockstill, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 The Game.
All right, time to break down Titans-Bucks before we take it to the bank at 1:45. Here is what we know. Looking at the various tweeters that cover the Titans and do a fine job. Let's look at Teron Davenport, Mike Vrabel at his press conference today before practice, Traylon Burks, Daniel Brunskill, Nick Petit-Frere, Sean Murphy-Bunting ruled out. Chris Hubbard has cleared concussion protocol, so that should clear him to play. And they have not ruled Ryan Tannehill out. My guess is maybe he could be the emergency guy, but I doubt that. Because you do have an extra spot,
yeah, you
right?
do.
You could use that roster spot for an extra person you want to use on special teams, et cetera. My guess is the most likely scenario, given how much he's practiced or how little he's practiced, is that Malik Willis would back up and you would use that roster spot for something else. Because I just don't think you want to put Ryan Tannehill out there at this point if he can't really be good enough to play, good enough to back up.
Yeah, you
just
can't.
doubt it.
You can't put him in a position where he's not 100% and you're putting him behind an offensive line that isn't, up to the standards that an offensive line needs to be. You're not doing anything but putting him in further harm's way because he can't move. So I don't expect Ryan Tannehill to suit up. Maybe they do suit him up and just make him the emergency quarterback because they can do that now. But even if he suits up, I can't see him, playing a game.
I can't see it. Now, he is listed to be able to practice today. So I don't know how that's going. We'll maybe get a report after practice of some sort. And then, of course, they have a walkthrough, as they always do on Saturday. So let's look at this matchup. I still am I'm trying to look it through the prism now of I'm not as concerned if they make the playoffs, don't make the playoffs. I want to see the direction they're going. I want to see Will Levis continue to take steps. Hopefully that does mean some wins. and the pieces around him. Who does he develop a chemistry with? Does he have something with Kyle Phillips, that he flashed in that Steelers game? Can he continue to build enough rapport with DeAndre Hopkins that Hopkins is completely dialed in for the rest of the year, gets good numbers, and wants to stay next year? That's something, especially with Burks not being able to play. These are all things that I'm looking for. And on the other side, one of your keys to the game that you noted earlier today, Mace, on the other side, without Sean Murphy-Bunting, I would think you're going to see some Christian Fulton versus Mike Evans. And Christian Fulton, the last couple of weeks, has shown at least some signs that the wheels haven't fallen off. He hasn't completely gone off the cliff, which is kind of the test when you're a corner. You're going to have some bad games, and he's had some bad ones. Maybe he's even out of the doghouse a little bit. What do you think of that matchup?
Well, it's going to be an interesting matchup because, to me, you're going against one of the best receivers in the National Football League. He has been the most consistent receiver in the National Football League over the course of the last 10 seasons. There hasn't been a receiver that has played, 8 seasons or more that has been as consistent or more consistent than Mike Evans has been. Is he in the top 10 in, catches and yardage? Probably not. But if you look at his numbers, they're eye-popping. He's averaging 16 yards per catch. He has 5 touchdowns. He has a long of 70 yards. He's made big play after big play for this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team. And he has just under, 6 or 7 yards, under 600 yards receiving. He's been durable. He's been valuable. He's been there for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So when you start talking about who are the top receivers in the NFL, after Tyreek Hill and A.J. Brown, then Mike Evans needs to start coming into the conversation. He's not flashy, but he goes out there at 6'5" and dominates. He's a hard matchup. The Titans have had problems with bigger receivers, and they can't allow Mike Evans to become a problem for a secondary that is missing one of their starters. But Fulton is playing a lot better than what he did in the previous 3 or 4 games. So this is going to be an interesting matchup. I don't think the Titans are going to, everywhere Mike Evans go, then Christian Fulton's going to go. But they're going to have to be aware of where Mike Evans is at every moment of the game. That's why it's going to be critical that the defensive front gets to Baker Mayfield, because if they don't, he will find Mike Evans down the field. And again, it's a matchup problem because he's 6'5" and can flat out play. And the Titans haven't shown enough consistency in the back end to stop a top-flight receiver like this.
The Titans, as we know, have had big struggles in the red zone. Can they make any inroads? We saw the game last week, at least the end of the game. I saw Houston just shredded the Buccaneers. They got into the end zone a ton. Big game for C.J. Stroud. Do you think the Titans can have a better the game may come down to this, right? We had a fun vote earlier today. Who's the Titans MVP at the halfway point? Overwhelmingly, people said Nick Folk. But why is that? It's because they can't get the ball in the end zone. They're having to kick too many field goals. Can they get better at that?
Well, they're going to have to. They're going to have to score. They get into that position too many times, or they have gotten in that position too many times. And we can go down each game where they've been 0 for 4, 1 for 3, and we're talking about their losses. Now, in their wins, they've been able to at least be 50% in the red zone. But in their losses, it's been lopsided. Yeah, it's been lopsided, and they've been away. So can they change the trend of, one, I think the Titans can get in the red zone because they've been okay from the 20 to the 20. But can they break this trend of going on the road and not being able to capitalize in the red zone? Nick Folk I believe he's the MVP. Why? Because the Titans haven't been able to score in the red zone, and he has to bail them out with points. So the Titans must get inside the red zone Sunday and not just get there. They got to score points. They got to score touchdowns rather than field goals. And this team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they have a defense that should afford you good opportunities to score inside the red zone.
Let's get to the phones here. Ralph has a question on the Titans here. Ralph, welcome to the show. You're on 102.5 The Game.
Yes, good afternoon. We've been hearing all about the Vrabel and trade to New England. From my point, I believe Titans should be invest hardly on this because they have so many holes and they have past 5 years really bad drafts. And my second point, we as a fan now so scared that with this, sorry to say, garbage offensive line that Will Levis might get hurt. So I don't know. I would like to listen. What do you think?
Okay, thanks for the call, Ralph. I would say the offensive line every week is going to be, can they give them a chance? Can they give themselves a chance? That will be no different. Let's say this about the Vrabel thing. Remember the report in the Boston Globe that we talked about earlier in the week? That story has gotten no legs on the national front since then. So I think that is one to put in a jar and, down the road someday that could surface, but I'm putting that I don't think a trade is at all a possibility.
No,
now, I will say this. You mentioned this earlier, and I tend to agree. The Colts and the Patriots play early Sunday morning in Germany?
Yeah.
If the Patriots keep losing, and that, they're going to have all day, people will be talking about it. There is going to be a lot of talk about what to do about Belichick. I think he has earned the right to go out on his own terms, but it is going to put stress on the Patriots fans who are spoiled and used to winning, right? The whole market is used to winning. If you lose in Boston, people are like, well, "What's up, man? We don't lose in Boston."
Exactly. So I mean, I don't think unless. Listen, and this has nothing to do with Vrabel, because I think if you fire Belichick after this game, if they lose, you're not thinking about Mike Vrabel and being your coach. Goes back to what I said with Elliott yesterday, Elliott Friedman. When some teams think from this standpoint, okay, everybody's screaming about fire the coach, fire the coach.
We got to change something.
We got to change this. Okay, I understand that, but how are we going to get better, and who's going to make us better? That's what I need to figure out before I fire my coach. I need to know the who and the how. So maybe they figured out the who and the how. And it could be Gerard Mayo. He could be, because to me, that's the only way you fire Belichick after his long resume. If you fire him right now, after this game, if they lose, that tells me you already got your who. And you figure he's going to be the what makes it work now.
I'm really hard-pressed to think that will happen during the season. Couple of really interesting games. It does look like T. Higgins is out for the Bengals, and Jamar Chase may not play. What a huge opportunity for the Texans to go to Cincinnati, who obviously Joe Burrow's feeling better. They're playing better, but now you take away those guys?
You take away two of the top 10 receivers in the National Football League. Or two of the top 15 in the National Football League. And obviously Higgins would be lower than Jamar Chase.
And as we've seen, the Bengals defense can be human. And you've got a red-hot C.J. Stroud coming in with confidence. What a big test that is in the league, or in the division. And then finally, as we talked about right at the beginning of the show, Jacksonville hosting the 49ers, who have lost 3 in a row. They don't want to lose 4 in a row. They've got now Chase Young in the lineup. What a great opportunity for Jacksonville to sort of announce to the league. You beat 49ers, you got to be considered in with the heavyweights if you pull that off.
Absolutely. I want to give you 2 quick key stats, offensively and defensively, for the Tennessee Titans, because I said you got to score in the red zone.
Before we close the book.
Before we close the book on this. Okay. The
hay will be in the barn after you give these stats.
Exactly. Red zone scoring for the Tennessee Titans right now, they are scoring at a 34.62%. Okay, they got to get that higher. Their third down conversion is at 32%. They need to get that higher.
That's bottom 5.
Exactly. So, but on the flip side of that, and yards per play is 5.2. They need to get it up. But on the flip side of that, defensively, they're only giving up 5.4 yards per play. That's good. Okay, they are, from a pass standpoint, they're giving up over 68% completion. They got to get that down. Red zone. This is encouraging for Titan fans. Red zone, they're only giving up 36%, scoring. So they're stopping teams once they get in that red zone. So that's encouraging for Titans, fans in regards to their defense. And then on third down conversions, they need to get it down a little bit more. They're right at 39%, more like 40%. If they can get that down a little bit more in this game, then that gives them more of an opportunity to win.
All right, D-Mase has emptied the buckets. He has given you all of the knowledge you need for this game. It will be time now, when we come back, to take it to the bank. The Titans are a 1-point dog in Tampa. So they are an underdog for the 8th time out of 9 games. I believe that's right. The only time they were favored was in Indianapolis. I think that's right. So, wow.
And they lost.
And they lost as a favorite. Maybe it's good that they're underdog. They have not won a road game this year. Stay tuned. We're going to take it to the bank next here on 102.5 The Game.
Look, we all know that moving isn't very fun. We've all done it. We've all been there. It's stressful, but it really does not have to be. Caroline Fenton here for my friends at Black Tie Moving, and their trained and dedicated team at Black Tie Moving is there to ensure that they take the stress out of the moving process. And I can personally attest to that because I moved with Black Tie Moving over the summer, and it was truly, honestly, the easiest moving experience that I have ever had. From the very beginning of the process, when I had a phone call with a local professional moving consultant where I got a free estimate and they laid out exactly what I could expect on my moving day. And what I got was great customer service. What I got was movers that were so respectful and kind and accommodating on my moving day. So visit blacktiemoving.com or call 615-437-8401. I cannot recommend them enough. That phone number is 615-437-8401. And be sure to mention the promo code GAME, G-A-M-E, to score 10% off of your next move. Then sit back and enjoy the best move of your life.
Hey home buyers, TJ Anderson here with More Great Homes. Located just west of Nashville in a tranquil setting of Kingston Springs Ranchettes neighborhood, 1617 Wildlife Trail offers 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, a 2-car garage, and a 1-year builder warranty, all for under $450,000. Contact my team today at tjandersonhomes.com for more info. Want your home listing to be seen and heard by home buyers? Google TJ Anderson Homes and see why we are referred by clients so often. TJ Anderson Homes at Benchmark Realty, office number 615-432-2919.
Get ready to dig into the future of construction. Look no further than Parman Tractor and Equipment. They've got the power and precision you need with link belt excavators, where red means go. Whether you're looking to rent or buy, link belt excavators are known for reliability and performance. When you see that red and gray machine on the job site, you know it's time to get things done. Parman Tractor's team offers unparalleled service. Visit parmantractor.com and get in the dirt with employee owners of Parman, where red means go. Don't miss out on totally outrageous customer service.
Hey, let me tell you about burger joint Black Tap Craft Burgers and Beer. And they've been winning fans and accolades since opening in downtown Nashville. They serve award-winning craft burgers, wings, salads, over-the-top crazy milkshakes, kicking cocktails, and good times. Then throw in an 80s, 90s Soho design vibe, throwback music, and awesome staff. It's no wonder why Black Tap just won Nashville Scene's Best of Nashville's Readers Poll for Best New Restaurant and Best New Bar. Check out Black Tap, located downtown across from the Batman Building on 3rd Avenue in Commerce. Discounted parking is also available.
Get ready to elevate your game day experience. Titans fans, it's all happening at Mimo Bar on Titans Terrace. Just a short walk from the bridge at First and Demumbrian. They've got your epic pregame and postgame covered. With their Italian classics and sensational cocktails, your senses will be on a joyride. And hey, listen to this. Everyone at the Titans Terrace gets a chance to bag a Gibson Guitars merch bundle, a $100 Mimo postgame gift card, or a weekend brunch for 2. So why wait? Mimo Bar, where Nashville's heritage meets Italian flavor.
Get ready for a magical holiday experience at Belle Meade Historic Site and Winery. Join us for our free holiday open house Thursday, November 16th from 5 till 8 p.m. Meet Santa and Mrs. Claus, tour our enchanting mansion, and delight in holiday crafts and activities for the whole family. Treat yourself with our renowned wines and bourbon from Belle Meade Winery and savor foods from the Belle Meade Meat and 3. Let's create cherished memories that will last a lifetime at Belle Meade Historic Site and Winery. Only 7 miles from downtown Nashville. Reserve online at visitbelmeade.com.
They're homegrown in Nashville, discussing the biggest topics in the SEC.
The fans are going to want the rivalries to stick around. They've lost to Alabama every year.
The NFL.
What if all the top 3 quarterbacks went 1, 2, 3? You've got to draft your guy at 2.
And anything in between.
From thinking we know everything to then forgetting about everything we thought we knew the day before.
They're Jonathan Hutton and Chad Withrow on Outkick's Hot Mic.
Out of the gates, ready to go.
Weekdays from 2 to 5 on 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app. This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Here comes the money. And you can take that to the bank. Here comes the money. Money, 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 money. Dollar, dollar, dollar. Ching, ching, bling, bling, cut the chatter. You ain't talking money, then you
It's time to have a little fun to end the show. Taking it to the bank. Thanks to F&M Bank. Banking made easy on purpose. Customer, community, F&M Bank. Making banking easy on purpose. Business is complicated. Banking doesn't have to be. Now, just check one of the locations. There are 20 of them in our listening area. Go to myfmbank.com. Okay. Read them and weep, Nick. Give me the results from last week. Make it quick.
I'll make it very, very brief. Willie had the Dolphins to win 2 touchdowns, and for Tyreek Hill, it was bad for you,
I'm sitting
Willie.
there in Calgary. It's 7:30 a.m. Mountain Time, and I'm watching this. Oh, I was like, thank goodness this game's on. I didn't know it. Like, it's Canada. You don't know what channels you're going to get and everything. Like, okay, let's settle in and watch this. This is my take it to the bank. 21-0. 21-0 at the half. And I called for Tyreek Hill to have 2 touchdowns and have a celebration. Hey, it's in Germany. This is going to be great. He fumbles and they get a touchdown going the other way.
Hey, man.
I'm jinxed or something. What's up with this?
It wasn't a good day. That's all I got to say.
Come on.
The NFL finds it's a weird way of humbling you.
Yeah.
And he got humbled this past weekend.
This contest has a way of humbling me.
Caroline.
He dropped a touchdown pass. He had one right in his hands. He would have scored.
That's what happens. I'm telling you.
Caroline had Jalen Milroe, to have 2 passing touchdowns and the Bengals to win. Bengals did win. Milroe did not have any passing touchdowns. Had 4 rushing touchdowns. How does that sound? That's crazy.
That's great. Oh,
yeah.
Man.
So she did not get that one. As for D-Mase, it's still a work in progress. NBA, the play-in tournament, whatever it is, the in-tournament season. Denver to win it all. That's still a work in progress. And Victor Wembanyama to have 40 points in the in-season tournament. Still waiting on that.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's a little wait there.
Incomplete.
Yeah, incomplete. As for myself, I had Jalen Waddle to score a touchdown and do his penguin dance. Did not happen. And then Iowa to win by 14 or more points. Both teams forgot they were playing in a baseball diamond, so they decided to hit a walk-off field goal over right field and keep it, 7-3. So, yeah, that was my luck of the draw. But quickly, gentlemen, Willie, I'll let you go first.
Okay. I'm going to pick games that I just don't care. I don't have any that I don't have any dog in the hunt, because if I pick something like I have Tua and Tyreek on my fantasy team, and I was like, I'll pick them. This is great. This will be good for my fantasy. Their worst week the whole year. So I'm not picking them again. I'm taking the Jaguars. I'm taking the Jaguars straight up to win. They're a 3-point dog at home against the 49ers. I think they're going to get it done, and I will throw in this. I think the Predators will get a goal from a defenseman in tomorrow's game. A goal by a defenseman in tomorrow's game against the Coyotes.
Okay. D-Mase?
And maybe I'm wishful. Like, this is what I'm hoping will happen. They need a boost. Not getting a lot of goals from defensemen. So I'm hoping the luck changes a little bit there.
Okay.
All
right. My take it to the bank. I'm going to start with the Tennessee Titans and their rookie quarterback, Will Levis. He will throw for at least 250 yards and a touchdown to Spears.
Touchdown to Spears?
Yes, a touchdown to Spears.
I'd love to see that. I would love to see that.
And then my second is UC. He's in net, right? I got to make sure he's in net. We believe he will be.
It's unknown at this point, but I would say there's a very good chance.
Okay. Okay. This is all predicated on whether UC is in net. If UC is in net, he will allow only 1 goal.
Okay. It's the Coyotes coming in tomorrow.
Interesting.
Saturday night in Smashville.
That's going to be a good one to watch. I'll make sure to watch it for you. Let's see. As for myself, I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm going to college football. I'm going to take. Can't believe I'm really saying this
because you've had some rough Saturdays.
I've had some very rough Saturdays. I'm going to take Kentucky to lose by single digits, not to win, lose by single digits.
So they're about an 11.5-point dog.
Yes.
You're saying they're going to keep it within 10.
Yep.
Okay.
I said 9 or
Single
less.
digits. All
But
right.
That's my ticket to the bank this week. Titans predictions. Willie, real quick.
They haven't won on the road.
Tough,
They have not won on the road. But I say they'll get it done. They're going to find a way. I think they're actually going to score some points. I think it's going to be 23-21 Titans.
Unfortunately, I think the trend of losing on the road continues, but I think Will Levis still looks good. I think the Titans lose 24-20.
Okay, I have the Titans winning 31-17.
Oh, you say a big breakout.
Big
there we
win.
go.
Oh,
Huge
31.
breakout.
What the God?
Wow.
Different team. Different team
When's the
under
last
Billy
time they scored
Jean.
31. Wow. All right. Great show. Caroline will be back on Monday. Jared ready to go on a Friday afternoon. And so everybody have a great weekend. Tomorrow, see you at the rink, Saturday night in Smashville.
Be love and love on your people.